Cool. You must be this computer literate to podcast.
Yeah. Even then, like, you know, I know how to, like, code and stuff, but for whatever reason, like, getting shit on iTunes was, like, another language.
I took one computer coding class once in high school, and I would often fall asleep in that class.
Oh, I never took any classes for them. My friend was just a computer genius, and I needed to work in order to like know what was going on.
Lucky. Real glad we got to the bottom of that stuff with uploading the main show, and now I can just send it right off to Danielle. I'm like, oh, good.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad that got worked out.
Yeah, the newest one, I was just I sent her a link. I'm like, here.
I sent her the audio too last night.
Oh, great.
It was all done.
Excellent.
I figured, geez, the least I can do for putting in the wrong place all that time is be on the ball about it.
Yeah. All right, I'm sending you the link.
Cool. Now we're on the trolley.
That's right. And we'll do one more quick.
You know, insults, compliments, slang from the 40s no one uses anymore.
Yeah, now you're on a trolley.
Like Rube. There you go.
Exactly.
I think Rube is fit for a comeback.
Yeah, I like Rube.
Sounds good. It's insulting, but it's not a cutting insult.
No. It means like doofus.
Yeah, why you gotta be such a Rube?
Yeah. What a Rube.
Yeah.
It's perfect for being a villain or Vincent Price.
Oh yeah, he did it good. He did it perfectly.
Yeah. What a Rube. Lol.
Yes. Rather.
How droll.
Shallow and pedantic.
Yes, I agree. Shallow and pedantic.
One of the few Family Guy quotes I'll actually still quote.
Yeah, I like that.
That one was genuinely good.
All right, I'm going to drop the curtain and do the intro, and here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Elseworlds Exchange. I am Sal.
I'm Joel, your time-displaced co-host who is back now.
We'll be discussing DC Rebirth and the ramifications on the overall DC publishing line.
Oh, boy.
Before we get started, if you are in the chat, or if you are viewing this episode, or if you're listening to it on SoundCloud or iTunes, you have nothing to worry about. But if you're watching this episode on any kind of visual format, there will be spoilers in the chat and in the comments. So if you don't want to be spoiled by DC Rebirth, I advise you to add this to your watch later list, or avoid the comments or chat window for the remainder of the episode.
We know the book came out today. We debated on whether or not we were going to talk about it. We had another topic in mind, but we figured, you know what, might as well strike while the iron's hot. We'll never get this opportunity again.
Yes, we won't be giving you a rundown of what happens in the issue. We're just going to more talk about, details are going to come out in the discussion.
This is more of a what does it mean kind
Exactly.
of show.
So, if you are in the chat and you don't want to be spoiled, get out now!
Get out! Get to the chopper!
Get to the chopper of your lives and fly on out of the chat where there are no spoilers. I don't know where they are, because I was spoiled in this book, a week ago?
Oh,
Thanks
God.
a lot, by the way, for
even longer
that.
for me. I know, like, the leaks around this book kind of became a news story in itself.
Yeah.
A lot of different writers on both sides of the fence, Marvel and DC, were like, come on, Bleeding Cool, seriously?
That was unbelievable, the level of spoiler, where it was like, they were clearly sent a book, and the news article was, here is every spoiler from the book, from most important to least important.
Yep.
I'm like, that's not news. That's not news. Now, that said, I get a little, notification on my phone. It said, all the DC Rebirth spoilers. And I'm like, fine by me, whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't care.
Because for you and me, it's our job. We're paid to know. We need to know these kinds of things, even if we don't necessarily want to know. And there's certain occasions where I'm sure you do it too, where I'll take a stand and be like, no spoilers for this. I want to go in completely free and clear. But for this, I'm like, ugh, God, if I don't click on it now, some jerk is going to tweet at me about it, and it's going to ruin it for me anyway. So I
will
might
say,
as well read it.
At the very least, Rich decided to title it DC Rebirth Spoilers and not The Spoilers. That's the thing that I had the real problem with, where they were like, guess what happens to Han Solo? Well, I'm gonna guess that he flies the Millennium Falcon, so that's probably not the spoiler.
And then he shoots his cool gun.
Yeah,
and says,
I'm betting that happens too. What's a spoiler for this movie? Oh wait, I can figure it out. Thanks a lot. But yeah, no, DC Rebirth spoilers, like that you can title it that. It's just that, like, don't expect that to be your news story. Like, posting the last page of the book as your number one spoiler. You're a dick.
That being said, I'm sure that article got a hell of a lot of clicks.
Oh yeah, no, it was clicked into oblivion.
And I'm sure translated into a lot of money, as I'm sure that's how it works, I guess.
mean, there would be no reason to do it otherwise.
Which almost gets me to the point that it was such a flagrant spoiler like that and such a why would you do that, I'm amazed DC didn't take it down.
I think DC made it happen.
You think?
I think DC sent Rich Johnson a copy. I think DC sent Newsarama Comics.
They did.
Whatever
Death Movie got one, which is interesting because they're a movie site, not a comic site.
They don't care. Hey, whatever, as long as you're fresh eyes. Look at the book. It's a crazy new thing.
Leads me to believe, what do we have to do here on the Elseworld Exchange to get some goddamn early copies?
Exactly. I don't know. I didn't ask for a new copy.
Who do we gotta talk to, man? You know, what voodoo dance and what god do I have to pray to? Because I will.
Right? So, all right, before we get started, let's talk about the midnight release for DC Rebirth. Joel, did you do anything for the midnight release?
I live in the frickin' sticks. What I did for the midnight release is I sat in my Batman robe and tried to play some Fallout so I could play the DLC. That's what I wish I lived in a cool enough area like you where I could actually go to a midnight release for a comic. I wish.
I live in Jersey. I am 45 minutes on a good day away from New York City. I am anywhere between 15 and 10 minutes away from any given comic book store.
So
and
jealous.
While Midtown Comics was tweeting the hell out of DC Rebirth, going like, you gotta come down! I'm like, Midtown Comics is literally at 10:30 at night, about 45 minutes away. I could call Ben, the two of us could drive up there and hit up Midtown Comics. They were like, you better get here a half hour earlier, things are gonna go down. And I'm like, okay.
I don't even live in Midtown, and I was seeing the tweets about it, and the news was reaching my ears. Apparently, Jeff Johns showed up with pizza for everybody.
Jeff Johns and Scott Snyder came out with pizza boxes. Now, by the way, echoing a scene from DC Rebirth, where Barry Allen, this is not a spoiler, just a moment where Barry Allen's being the Flash, and he saves everybody from fire, and then he
sees one kid is hungry, so he goes and gets everybody pizza.
Everybody gets some pizza, and like the Flash, Jeff Johns and Scott Snyder came on down to the ludicrous line at Midtown Comics and provided everyone with a slice, which I thought was really, really cute.
That's cool.
It almost would have been worth the drive for me to go there and not get a copy of DC Rebirth because of that line. But instead, I just looked around at the stores that were in my area. I saw there was one that we went to for Free Comic Book Day, Zap, and I was like, hey, maybe I'll go to Zap. That's only about like 30 minutes away, 25. And then I remembered that Ben lived 4 minutes away by bicycle from Dewey's Comic City, and we were like, and I was like, you know what? It's 10:30 at night. I bet he will want to go to bed afterwards. Why don't we just go there? So
10:30 on a Tuesday.
Yep. So 10:30, I drove out to his place. Ethan and Ben and I went to Dewey's Comics. Ethan hung around for a few minutes and then was like, "I'm getting out of here."
I'm good. The novelty has worn off.
Yeah. By the way, not a huge line, not a lot of not a big ridiculous crowd. Nice group of people, and we did run into some people who knew who we were, which is kind of fun.
That's cool. That's always fun.
Got my copy, no issue whatsoever to find it, to get it. I also, for my trouble, finally picked up Wonder Woman Earth 1.
Hey, so, there you go.
Finally going to start talking.
I read half of that and then got piled up on work. I enjoyed the first half I read.
Oh, good. Well, I'm sure it'll continue. But yeah, so I was like, you know what? I don't have work tomorrow. Like, this is my job. I'm, you know what? I'm just gonna go out at 10:30 at night on a Tuesday and pick up a copy of Redeemed. And then
this is a business expense. It's a business event.
Exactly. So then at 2:00 in the morning, got home and read DC Rebirth.
Nice. So you got to read it late. That's cool.
I did. And then I woke up the next morning and my Twitter feed was flooded with spoilers.
Of course it would be. Of course.
So I'm like, man. Good thing I stayed up until 2 in the morning and read this 80-page comic.
For this.
But fun time. Also, I got to pick up a copy of Doctor Strange for Tiffany. So,
that's cool.
but yeah, so the event was fun. I like midnight release parties for comic books. I think it's cute. I think it's fun. I think it's like it's like doing a midnight release for a movie. Only you actually can like browse and walk around and shop and hang out with people and talk.
I never get to go out to them. I was going to go to the midnight release for Fallout 4 when that was a thing. But I ended up getting sick, and someone just picked me up a copy on their way home the next day. So I'm like, oh, well, this was good.
This is fine.
This is fine.
I think the last midnight game release party I was at was for Ghostbusters.
There you go.
And I was glad I went, because it was BioShock Infinite. I went to Ghostbusters. There was no fanfare. There were like 12 guys. They were like, "Give me my Ghostbusters." BioShock Infinite. There were more people. It was very fun.
Did you have your costume and your proton pack?
Not at that point. It took me a year to assemble my entire Ghostbusters cosplay.
Basically,
uniform.
being a real Ghostbuster, trying to get all that shit together.
It was. I was working my ass off to get that whole system together, and I still don't have a trap.
One day.
Yeah.
Hey, fans in the population, if you come across a Ghostbuster,
give me a Ghostbuster.
Send it Sal's way.
Those things are expensive. I do not expect that. But yeah, so DC Rebirth, it's here, it's now, it's, loud and wow. It's a flash book that has some DC stuff in it.
It sure is. Leave it to Jeff Johns to find a way to once again say, no, the Flash and the Flash family are actually the most important characters in all of DC lore, and I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to give basically one giant love letter to Wally West and to Barry.
That felt like they were doing that as a reaction to the outright outrage about the omission/alterization of Wally West.
It's both. It's totally both. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was like, wow. When you first see that character appear, I'm like, okay, he's the main character, and he's going to be the one who's like, we're going to make up for, like, what, a decade of comics, or almost a decade's worth of DC Comics, not having that character by having him be the linchpin.
It can't be a decade. I was going to say...
2011, 2016, all right, half a decade.
Yeah, like 4 to 5 years, because you see,
wow.
How I judge it.
4 to 5 years, that's all it took.
Yeah, I know, right? We're actually moving pretty quick. You know how I judge it as the 4 to 5 years thing? That's how long I've been working online and reviewing comics professionally. That's how I keep it in mind.
Now, it's funny. I will say the legacy of The Flash is really important to establish, I guess, what the mantra / like marching orders for DC Rebirth is, which is maintaining and establishing legacies.
It's fascinating, and obviously too, you need more than one Flash, because who are you going to kill in the next crisis?
Exactly.
Who are you going to kill to send a message if you only have a couple Flashes? It's good because you got spares.
Yeah. There are 2 legacy families in the DC universe that I can think of that they could have used. Given Jeff Johns obviously was going to be the Flash, but I was like, I'm really glad they didn't go with the Marvel family.
Although the Marvel family is back, if you look at the big poster they had of all the new characters, they're up there and in the corner, and it's everyone.
Yeah.
They're all back now.
That's cool for all of you Shazam fans. I don't care.
Hey, Shazam fans, they're out there. They vote. They'll be excited.
Speaking of which, if you do like Shazam, and if you like the Captain Marvel family dynasty, you should read the Alan Moore treatment, Twilight of the Superheroes, because Alan Moore wrote this whole thing back when he was a corporate shill for DC, because that's what he would call himself, but also because in the pitch, he includes, like, t-shirt ideas and action figure plans and, like, toy design.
Really?
Oh, yeah, no, he's like, this will be a great opportunity for us to make action figures and toys and t-shirts.
And you see Mary Marvel has a kung fu chop action when you press the button in the back.
Captain Magic Comic Wizard, like, I hate everything corporate.
I live in a magic cave.
He was at one point or another coming up with ideas for DC to make a dime. But basically he pitched this whole ridiculous epic story that really involves the Marvel family in a big bad way. So I advise you to read it. The whole damn thing's up online. You can just find it. It's Twilight of the Superheroes. I think that was what inspired Mark Waid's Kingdom Come story, which I prefer. Having read both, I'm like, Kingdom Come is tighter. It's more generic, I guess. Like, it's more for everybody, as opposed to it's more for fans of DC from 1942.
I gotta say too, obviously, I've mentioned this before on the show. Growing up reading Flash, it was only ever Wally for me.
Right.
Was the thing. He was the only Flash I ever knew, yet I wasn't one of those people who got really upset at the new guy, mainly because I wasn't reading the new 52 Flash book because it didn't interest me because it wasn't good when it started.
Yeah. I did not care about the Flashes at any point, so, I was actually kind of shocked when Justice League, the animated series, made me think about how cool Wally was.
They did him perfectly, and it's like his sense of humor and his sense of fancy freeness was definitely lost in the new 52, and that was kind of the marching order of DC Rebirth for Wally to kind of go on a road trip of the new 52 world and be like, everything isn't as I remember it. People have grown far apart, they've grown meaner, they've grown younger in a lot of cases.
Yeah, well, that's his whole point, is we've lost relationships.
We've lost the love. I've lost the love.
And that's kind of cool. Cool story. Really emotional moments in the issue, but...
I'm not going to lie, I got a little teared up there when he's like, goodbye, Barry, my friend. Goodbye, the man who taught me that every second matters. Only for Barry to honestly be Barry and be like, no one dies on my watch.
That's right.
I will pull you out of the damn Speed Force.
I've seen this before. I am not letting this happen again. Right on. I was like, that's cool.
Beautiful, touching speech where I'm like, if this is the last word...
Everyone's fine with it. And then, no, actually, keep him around anyway.
Yeah, not today.
Not today. You know what? The only way you could end that scene better is if you have a not today moment.
Yeah, it's true. That's really good. It reminded me of, I'm guessing you're not a Doctor Who fan, but there's a great bit where, I think it was the Tennant era one, where it's like, and just for today, no one dies, just for today.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of.
That, it's funny, that does not shock me that the only way I know that speech is through Spider-Man, because it's written by Dan Slott, who is a massive
gigantic Doctor Who fan.
Damn. So yeah, DC Rebirth. Okay, so a lot happens, but not that much happens in the book.
It's a road trip. It's a housekeeping issue. Like,
everyone's
saying, like, oh, this is going to read as a big apology for the new 52. No. Not really.
No, well, because it's not really going anywhere.
No, it's not. In fact, as they say, the new 52 wasn't even really a reboot. It's the same world you always remember. It's just 10 years got stolen away.
Except for Superman.
Except for him, because we're meeting the old version.
Yeah, and he's like, I came from another world.
Another better world, yeah.
Fair enough. But yeah, so what does this mean for the larger DC, landscape? I guess it means that we're gonna... I mean, like, look, everyone keeps asking, like, what is this? Is it a reboot? Is it a reimagining? Or is it some is it something else? I think, we heard them... I remember at the WonderCon Summit, they were talking about them doing, like, we're gonna bring back the legacies. And what does that mean? I saw that there's a flashback where Wally is remembering joining the Titans, and it showed the old... pre-Flashpoint Titans / post-crisis, pre-crisis Titans with the old costumes.
They actually go into that huge in Titans Hunt. In fact, Titans Hunt, the last issue, which came out last week, foreshadowed the return of Wally West. That comic ends with a big lightning strike.
Oh, yeah.
Which you didn't know what it meant a week ago, but you know now.
You know now. It was, that's funny, because actually classic Titans fans like Faust loved Titans Hunt. And I have to admit, I liked the book. I thought the art was real bad.
Yeah, it wasn't a beautiful looking book. It was a little slow in places, mainly because Dan Abnett's like, I don't have to wrap this up. I already got the next series.
Exactly. I got to work. I'm fine.
That being said, it did answer the also important question where it's like, okay, so if Wally existed in this Earth all along, what happened to him? Oh, well, Mr. Twister made everyone forget, and then he got lost in the Speed Force. That's what happened.
So, all right.
And also, the other big twist there, and I thought this was a work of genius, too, where it's like, okay, but if Ginger Wally, who we all remember, did exist, and he was from this Earth, and he had friends and memories, then what of new Wally, though? What of new show-equivalent Wally West? And the answer to that is, he's related to Barry, too. He's a cousin from the other side of the family.
That's right.
His name is also Wally, because they're named after their grandfather. And I'm like, that is actually genius.
Yes, that he's basically Wally's cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, like, making him a member of the family is cool, and it keeps him. I was expecting them to kind of replace him, But it's cool. They're keeping both.
It's clear they weren't going to replace him, because if you've looked at all the DC Rebirth stuff, he's going to be in the main Flash book. He's going to be on the Teen Titans team. But that being said, the Titans team that Dan Abnett is writing, if you looked in the back of the comic, it showed you a new page of that, and oh look, Ginger Wally that we remember in a new costume on that team with all his old friends.
Yep.
Which good job sitting on that for as long as they did, because you look at the team and it's like, man, something's missing with this team. Oh, because Wally's not there yet. That's what was missing. Now it's perfect.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of funny. There's a moment in which Wally is like, Batman is the linchpin to all of this, only to find out, no, he's not at all. He's not special or anything. Like, he doesn't get it. He's not part of the family.
His letter was important.
His letter, we still don't really know why. I guess because it's a remnant of the Flashpoint universe.
Of the world that was before it changed.
Yeah, that's fine. But, okay. So, I guess we could talk about not necessarily the reveal, but the ramifications of the reveal. The one that everybody's talking about, the outrage. The big holy crap moment for the book.
Is it outrage? I think they actually handled it pretty okay in this idea where it's like, look, these invaders from another place wanted to weaken the DC universe. They wanted you to be miserable and dejected. Basically, they wanted to turn your world into their world.
Yes. Is it the Watchmen? Like, is it the team? Like the characters, or is it characters, or is it just Adrian? Because, all right, the implication is that the Watchmen universe is going to be crossing over with the DC universe, and that possibly the New 52 was created by Dr. Manhattan.
Because nothing ever ends, Adrian. Nothing.
I mean, and I liked the parallels, like the opening to the closing of the book, and
the god is a watchmaker.
Yep, and yeah, the whole like history of Dr. Manhattan's character and all that. I don't know. I'm of two minds about it. I'm of two minds about it. I like the idea of Dr. Manhattan being a force in the DC universe.
Mm-hmm. And yet he didn't create this new DC universe. He just stole 10 years for some reason.
Well, I thought it was that he created it, and then he was trying to improve it, so he stole 10 years out of it.
Well, they do show the big blue hand coming in and yoinking
time.
Whatever. Also, hey, you know what I love too? Good going, Jeff Johns, for not being afraid to bury your own creation in Pandora and be like, yeah, Pandora was never important. Go
That
away.
Was amazing. I applauded that moment. Pandora's like, you're not going to get away with this, even though I was stupid and lame and didn't have anything to. I didn't really. I was supposed to be a big deal, and I wasn't.
I was Forerunner back during another big DC event. Remember Forerunner, created by Paul Dini?
I do not remember that character.
She was invented by Paul Dini and Jimmy Palmiotti, and she was supposed to be the big breakout of like Countdown.
Yeah.
She was another one of those, and disappeared. No one remembered her. It is funny where she's like, "Oh, I've been carrying around this horrible truth, and only I ever knew. I never told anybody. I probably should have."
Yeah, I probably should have told at least one person. No.
I had a solo book and then a team book, and then I disappeared.
Does anyone remember that? No.
Remember me.
No, we won't. And everyone will whisper no.
Yeah, everyone will whisper no. Okay, that's another question too. So if it is the Watchmen, is it the Watchmen at the end of their story?
I hope it is. Except it isn't.
More than a few of them are dead, right?
I hope it isn't. Because, well, all right. We know it isn't because because I know these people and I know they won't resist putting Rorschach in.
Yeah, we want to put Rorschach in there because he's the one everyone remembers. We want to make new comedian stories. We want to sell more Silk Spectre costumes.
What's hilarious is, before Watchmen was an event that DC pulled that was just a sequel/prequel to Watchmen.
Yeah.
Some of the stories were mostly prequels. Silk Spectre was a story that took place before the main book. Comedians was also before the main book.
Right, because he doesn't make it.
Because he doesn't make it out of the main book or out of the opening prologue. Night Owl, same deal. But I think...
Speak of Night Owl, isn't it funny that they bring Ted Cord Blue Beaver
right
back
at that point
of showing the bug and being like, okay, well, how is this going to work? How are the Watchmen going to interact with the Charleston characters that they're based on? How is that going to work? Is Night Owl going to come face to face with Ted Core and be like, you and me, and you but me, though?
Yeah,
and,
like you, so we're just the same, but you're a bird, and I'm a bug.
It's like, I realistically predate you.
Yeah.
But are they gonna? But seeing as your guy may have created our world, does that mean he created me in your image?
Yeah.
And if so, why?
Right. I liked seeing Ted Cord and seeing the bug.
And him hanging out with Jaime Reyes.
That
and
was
being
cute.
like, and him being super paused and be like, Jaime, we should team up and be a cool Batman and Robin.
I was like,
team
no.
Adventures. He's like, no, you weird old man.
Which kind of reminds me a little bit of like the inverse of the Night Owls.
Little bit.
That was cool. But here's the thing.
Oh, and speaking of Blue Beetle, while we're on the subject, having Dr. Fate, like,
oh yeah,
the old Dr. Fate we remember, not the new DC guy.
Real Dr. Fate shows up and he's like,
Justice Society Dr. Fate coming in and being like, look, you thought it was alien
it
technology?
ain't.
It's actually magic again.
That look, Gary Frank, I think, drew that page, because the moment where Ted Cord goes like, magic, like, that's awesome! That facial expression was spectacular.
Which, if you know your Blue Beetle, at first it was magic, and then they changed it to be alien technology, and now they're changing it back.
Yeah, they're like, nah, screw it. People like magic now. It's cool. There's a Doctor Strange movie coming out.
We don't have an established magic universe, and Blue Beetle didn't make it as a sci-fi book, so guess what, Jaime? You're part of the magic universe now.
Yeah. I don't care either way.
I like Jaime. I like Blue Beetle. I think if they had played him right, if they had pushed him right, he could have been DC's answer to Spider-Man.
Oh, easily. Oh, Ted Cord should have been, like, a happier version of, like, the Spidey Daredevil team up with Blue Beetle, or with Booster Gold.
They missed the opportunity.
Which they used to do.
And I always hate it when people talk about, like, I'm trying to think of the proper word, racial thing, like getting like new, more diverse cast.
Oh yeah, the diversification of the
it's like, yeah, we have those characters. It's just their books get canceled prematurely.
Yeah,
they never get a chance, which is the sad truth.
Yeah. All right. So my question is, like, is it worth it to do this? Like, are we...
Someone in the chat just said, I think it's more like DC's answer to Nova. Blue Beetle predates Sam Alexander Nova. If anything, they ripped that idea off.
Yeah. I feel like the reveal that Dr. Manhattan is at least in part responsible for the universe in DC is really cool and interests me a lot.
It is, but it's like such a great, like, Jeff Johnsian idea.
Yeah.
And I know I mentioned this before on the main show. I fear what would happen when other writers get their hands on that and start playing with it.
Well, like, that we saw...
And also, how important is it going to be? Is this just going to be like the next event thing down the line, or are we going to start seeing the Watchmen kind of like bleed in to the main DC universe?
Well, that's the thing. For me, it almost feels like... Because it's really successful, DC Rebirth is... there are great ideas. The upcoming titles are fantastic looking. They all have nothing to do with Watchmen or Charlton or anything like that.
Never even mentioned.
Yeah, not even hinted at. Like, there's just some really, really great lifeblood being injected to it. I mean, just hearing Tom King is going to write Batman is like, that's all I need to know. And then you get like, oh no, pre-Flashpoint. Superman with a kid and a wife and a Superman, and it's going to be cool. Like,
awesome.
I'm in. And by the way, screw you, DC, for finally making me give a rat's ass about New 52 Superman right at the end. Brilliant.
Proof that Tomasi should have been writing it from day one.
Whole time. Brilliant move, by the way. But for me...
That's okay. Now that they killed him, now they can tease his return later.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no question.
And he can be something else. Hey, you know what? There's that stupid Future's End version of the character that never went anywhere. Let New 52 Superman come back and he can wear the motorcycle helmet and no cape.
I assume that he'll be Clark Kent. Or, you know what I mean? Like, he'll just...
That's the popular theory. Yeah. Heck, we have some names sitting around. Let him become New Eradicator or New Last Son of Krypton or something.
That'd be fun. I'd be fine with any of those ideas. But for me, it makes me feel like them going like, guess what? Watchmen makes me feel like it's the last idea they've ever, like, they're gonna have.
It feels like, okay, what's in the bottom of the idea bag? Like, okay, we got reboot the universe, we got make a book for everybody, bring in the Watchmen. When was this written? Man,
Yeah.
this has been in the hat for a while.
I feel like that was actually behind glass. Like, if we're
case of
totally
emergency.
boned, do Watchmen again. And they already broke the damn glass when they did before Watchmen, which I feel like I think that also was a brilliant move by using at least Dr. Manhattan, if not Watchmen, because they proved that no one really wants a sequel to Watchmen based on their failed experiment of before Watchmen.
Fun fact about that, you say that, but after the news broke that Watchmen would be involved in the new
People were like, this is brilliant, this is transcendental, this is amazing. Like,
not even just that, sales of Before Watchmen on eBay spiked hundreds of dollars.
yeah, I don't know why. By the way, I was at the comic book store this morning, and they were choked with Before Watchmen books.
That's funny.
But by the way to make those back issues worth something, because I never expected that. And by the way, what a disappointment, because that Night Owl book was drawn by Andy and Adam and Joe Kubert.
Beautiful book.
And written by J. Michael Straczynski. So it could have been great or terrible, depending on what day he was having.
Yep.
So, yeah, but, like, it makes me feel like the decision to use Watchmen characters is a last resort, kind of like sinking ship. Like, I know, we'll evaporate the water out of the boat by setting it on fire.
Which is funny, because we said the same thing about the DCU, and looking back at DCU now, where it's like, oh, so was this like a 2-3 month holding pattern you guys went into while you planned for DC Rebirth? How long has DC Rebirth been in development?
Yeah.
I mean, it must have been in development for as long as that Titans Hunt book and that Lois and Clark book, because they plant the seeds there.
Yeah, they've been playing the long game, which I admire the hell out of, because I'm so used to DC over the last decade, just kind of like making decisions and reacting to them.
Reactionary, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, they even do that in the movies, for God's sake. We're like, oh, you didn't like that? Blah!
Oh, what's that? Green Lantern was bad? Well, no more Green Lantern movies for at least a decade, and we're not even going to touch space.
He won't even be in the Justice League. We have 5 Green Lanterns we could pick just off the top of my head, and I won't use a single one of them.
Because we're reactionary.
Yeah. But it kind of blows my mind that they were like, screw it, we're going to do it. And I kind of admire that, and I feel like only Jeff Johns could pull it off, in as much as where he's like, we're going to use Watchmen.
To quote Highlander when he does it, it's a kind of magic how he can do it.
Yeah.
He's doing a trick.
It is, because the idea that Adrian, or rather that Dr. Manhattan has something to do, Adrian's Ozymandias, but like that Dr. Manhattan has something to do with the birthing of the DCU, or at least has something to do with time.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. I think that's a solid idea, if it is indeed an idea and not just like, we need to just have time fix it. And they're like, well, you will use a time guy, and they just think about their time, like the Legion of Superheroes, or somebody, I don't care,
He showed up here for a second,
who were in this book. That was kind of cool.
At least one of them, we never got to see her face, but one of them was there.
Yeah. So yeah, is Watchmen untouchable? Should it be?
Well, it's funny that, and I know people in the chat are kind of echoing this sentiment too, and I can't really, argue against it, where it's like, why does it always seem when DC is in trouble, they go back to the same 3 stories over and over again instead of writing anything new? Killing Joke, Dark Knight Returns, Watchmen.
Yep.
Yeah, how about you write something new, or better yet, how about you go back to Kingdom Come for a change, or Red Sun?
Well, they went back to Kingdom Come with the awful sequels to Kingdom Come.
Oh, The Kingdom, yeah.
The Kingdom?
That's fair.
I don't want to see sequels to Kingdom Come. The whole point of Kingdom Come was it's a reaction to Image, which is irrelevant. Like,
nowadays. Well, they're irrelevant in terms of superheroes. Meanwhile, they're doing stuff like The Walking Dead and Southern Bastards and really great books for adults.
Yeah, Image is making really, really great movie and TV series pitches, but they have no corner market on superheroes, and the fact is Image was influencing the superhero genre in a really bad way.
Yep.
What's funny is, of course, I think that DC did some brilliant moves to comment on that, where they're like, no, like, this is really, really bad. Look, like, we'll make Batman an image character. Look how stupid that is. Everyone's like, hooray! And they're like, no, it's not good. And Kingdom Come was like, look, Magog is literally an image character. He sucks. And everyone's like, that was awesome.
We love Magog. Give him his
Let's
own
use him.
solo
Let's
series.
put him in the DC universe for real. And he's like, no!
You guys, come on.
You're not getting it. But yeah, so I'm not the least bit surprised at this point that they went with Watchmen. I was just kind of like, that's really cool. I don't want to see Rorschach and Batman fight.
No, neither do I. Think that would be. I can't even think of the words to describe it because it's just so. It's like, you know how you get peanut butter and chocolate together and it's really good and they taste good together?
Right.
It would be the opposite of that. Two great tastes that should never be together.
I mean, like, here's the thing. I don't think people understand Watchmen. And I don't think they know why they like it.
That it's a commentary and a dissection of the superhero genre, and it's literally like the last superhero story ever told, because the second you start applying real-world rules and logic to the superhero genre, you end up with guys like Adrian being like, yeah, I'm going to kill like 90% of the Earth.
Well, like, they're not even really good people. Like, Rorschach...
No, they're psychotic, because that's the sort of person who would be willing to put on a costume and get beaten up at night.
Does Rorschach have cool moments? Yes. Rorschach also, like, hates gay people and is a right-wing lunatic. And I don't mean like you have to be a lunatic to be right-wing. I'm just saying like he is the worst example of extremism in his...
Rorschach looks at Trump and goes, doesn't go far enough.
Yeah, doesn't go far enough to pay...
Sentence fragment.
Just phrases. He,
forget building a wall, just give me a brick. I can do more good with a brick, I'm Rorschach.
Yeah. I don't know. I just, like, the comedian, I get. I would like to see, like, Batman versus the comedian once, maybe. But even then, like, that's just me being a nerd.
Heck, you know, there's multiple versions of the Joker running around now. Maybe one of those versions of the Joker is actually the comedian.
That would be really dumb.
Yeah, it would be. But think about it, though.
No, that's just stupid. I don't like that idea. And I don't like the idea of there being 3 Jokers anyway. So there are 3 Jokers, and that's what the Mobius chair told Batman. That's dumb. What does that mean?
I'm thinking you get one who's like the new Suicide Squad movie with the tattoos.
Yeah, I know that, but like, are they all the same Joker? Are they from different realities? Are there just 3 different guys? Like,
I think it's got to be 3 different Earths, and I think that they represent different moments in the Joker's history. Like, one is going to be more comedic, you know, one's going to be like more harmless,
silly,
funny.
Yeah,
and the 3 of them are going to like switch cities. So like, you know, the Flash will have to deal with them, and like Green Arrow will have to deal with a different one, and Batman will have to deal with one. Yeah. So it's like different versions of the Joker messing with different heroes, and it's all like making it very different.
I love that the 3 versions that they refer to.
Yeah.
Are the one from the 40s.
Yep, the original.
The one from Killing Joke.
Yep, the one.
And Scott Snyder's.
Those are the 3. Those are the top 3.
Like, there are a few others that you might have missed that are very different. Scott Snyder's version is incredibly different from Grant Morrison's version. And Grant Morrison's version is very different from the
Danny
90s
O'Neill's
version.
Yeah.
And Danny O'Neill's version is very different from the Killing Joke version. The Killing Joke version is very different from like
the Dark Knight Returns.
The Dark Knight Returns joke. Like, there's 1,000 different iterations of the Joker. You can't just say there's 3. And by the way, the first one they haven't used ever. Like, they used him for maybe 10 years.
Yep.
Just, like, why? Like,
I wonder what Batman story that will play out in, or
if they do it. Because, here's the thing, I don't know anyone who thinks that's awesome. And I feel like DC won't... While DC is riding high, because Marvel's reveal was so spectacularly lame and so incredibly dwarfed by anything that's happening at DC right now that DC is just having such a good time high-fiving themselves. But they won't forget their roots. And in their roots, they react to the, like, subtlest stuff. Like, you know what I mean? They just react to the, like, to the funniest, randomest, suddenmost things. Where they're like, yeah!
Yeah, but reactionariness is definitely a problem that they're having. Although, I wonder too, three, maybe even four Jokers, does that mean that each one of the different Batman books will get their own Joker?
I guarantee you'll see Jokers. You'll see a book about Jokers.
Just the Jokers.
Yeah.
The Jokers, which, still isn't quite as silly as the Joker's gang that's going on in the last little bit of We Are Robin, or even the Joker's daughter.
All the Joker ideas that don't include the Joker or make the Joker kind of dumb are bad.
Joker makes money, man. Joker makes money hand over fist for them.
They the only reason he works is because he works in small doses and you only use him sparingly. I remember being so overwhelmed by how amazing Scott Snyder's run had started out with. And then I suddenly saw, he does this great run, or he kicks off this great idea with Death of the Family. And then, one arc later, he's back.
Paul in the chat says they should call the Joker team the Comedy Club. Yeah.
I mean, if okay. You know what I could imagine them doing, by the way? I could imagine them doing, a Joker book. Like clowns or comedians or something like that. But at the end of the first issue, the comedian shows up and he's like, "Hey, where can I join?" And you're like,
"Yeah,
no!"
That would be a thing.
I mean, definitely the Joker interacting with the comedian is the thing that, you're gonna have to see.
Be like, "Oh, you think life's a sick joke, too." I also think it is, but if you don't laugh, you're gonna cry, right?
Yeah.
And you don't look like you laugh very much.
I mean, the Joker looks like he laughs all the time.
He's constantly laughing.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Overall, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
It's one of those things where it's I like where you started, but there's multiple places you could fall on your face from here on out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely how I feel about it. Some other interesting stuff, some other characters who came back that I didn't think got nearly enough fanfare. Jackson Hyde came back.
Yeah.
Jackson Hyde, who was the newest Aqualad following Brightest Day. He was the character that they based Calderon on for Young Justice. They never actually made the jump to the show, because I think at that point the writing was on the wall and the universe was getting rebooted, and Jackson Hyde wasn't going to be making the cut, so they just made up their own guy.
Yeah. That was interesting.
It was. Honestly, if they were going to do that, they should have just called him Calderon. Hey, Calder. but that would be his Atlantean name, and he's clearly not from Atlantis. He's from the surface world.
Right.
So there you go. Ooh, when he gets down there, they should be like, "Hey, Jackson, your new Atlantean name is Calderon." There you go.
I think they'll do that.
Grow some, shave your head and get a sweet ass red suit and some water magic, and there you go. And now you're the Young Justice character everybody loves.
Yeah.
Calder was great, chat. They're right. I think they missed the nautical pun notwithstanding. I think they missed the boat on having a cool Aqualad. Is what I think.
Yeah.
What was something you thought was going to happen for this series, but you didn't yet?
I thought we were going to see... Okay, so there's a last page reveal in this book. If you don't want to be spoiled, leave now.
If you've been here this long.
The last page reveal is Batman finds the comedian's pin in the Batcave.
Which was interesting, because you see, I had to reread that page. I thought he ripped open the letter and the pin was inside the letter, only to be like, oh no, wait, he found it just in the cave somewhere.
Right. I thought that was going to be a midway reveal, because it was spoiled for me a week ago.
Yep.
But I expect that to be halfway through, and then Batman was like, I'm going to investigate this further. We're going to see a kind of bio story, or a dual story where you got Wally trying to figure out how to get back, and you got Batman trying to figure out what this pin in the Batcave means and how it leads down a rabbit hole, and then the two stories converge. Apparently it's going to be part of a whole thing. It's going to be a huge ongoing DC event throughout all the books.
It's got to be a universe-long thing. Heck, the Atom was even working on it too. He's like, look,
Yeah.
I went down to the microverse, to the very DNA of the world as we know it, and I found a horrible truth, and I'm stuck here now. Hey, Ryan Choi, can you feed my fish and water my plants while I'm gone?
That was fun. Can
I
you
like
be the Atom while I'm gone?
Yeah, which is so something Ray Palmer would do. It's like, yeah, hey kid, I know you're really busy being young and schoolwork and everything, but I need you to put on this shrinking belt for me.
Yeah.
And also tell my wife I'm not going to be able to pay her alimony this month.
So the Atom is just like a drunken, deadbeat husband.
I mean, he always was kind of a deadbeat, Ray, and in this book especially, where it's like, man, you ask a lot of the people in your life, Ray, don't you?
That's funny. What does that pin mean?
Yeah, why is it there? Does that mean the comedian was there at some point? Does that mean someone left it for Batman because they want him to find the truth?
Right.
And if so, why do they want them to find the truth?
I don't know.
What is the end game for the Watchmen? Well, we say Watchmen, but we don't know. Like you said, it could just be Adrian. It could just be Doc Manhattan. Do they want to take over the DC Universe Earth? Did they screw up their Earth and they want to do over? They want a mulligan?
Yeah. I don't know.
What do they win from that? Or is this just Doc Manhattan screwing around, given a try at being God?
I think that is Dr. Manhattan screwing around. I think it was deliberately put there. Maybe it's there. Maybe it's been there for a long time, and Batman just didn't notice it. I like Jab says maybe it's the Joker. Maybe Joker put it there. I don't know.
Joker has been in the cave before, and wouldn't that be the cruelest joke of all?
I automatically assumed that, like, when I saw the image of him with the pin, I was like, oh, like we're gonna undo everything and say like Watchmen starts and Watchmen's taking place in the DC universe. So like Batman is gonna try and solve the mystery of who killed the comedian.
I'm glad they didn't go there. You know, it could be an instance too. You know, like I said with the whole Blue Beetle thing. Wouldn't it be interesting if Dr. Manhattan, you know, in his sadness was like, I tried to recreate our world. I tried to do it right. But instead of Rorschach, I got the question, and instead of so on and so forth.
Could be. Maybe Batman will realize that he's in a comic book.
What would he do then?
I don't know. I think he would retire. I think he'd be like, I'm going to stop.
You would kind of have to, wouldn't you? Where it's like, I'm good. Or wouldn't that be a sad thing where it's like, you know, so my parents died for nothing is what you're saying?
They're like, no, your parents dying is such a dramatically important moment. It's brilliant.
Everyone. And then Grant Morrison descends from the heavens and talks to everyone directly like he did in Animal Man.
Where the hell is Grant Morrison in all this? I know that he hasn't written any DC books in a while, but like, you'd think he wouldn't be able to avoid this.
Yeah, this seems like something so up his alley and so his cup of tea. Maybe he just blew his wad on Multiverse. He's like, nah, I'm good, I'm spent.
You didn't... I saw Sal's off-the-rack review, and I quit.
I quit then and then. I like our Scottish just gets angry and angrier for Grant Morrison, even though he's not that kind of Scottish
No, he's not. He's just very, I took peyote today. I feel great. I went in the desert and I disappeared for 5 days.
We're making him sound like fat bastard. Get in my belly, Batman. Get in there.
I ride a dragon.
To work every day. I live in a castle. Where do you live?
I live in a castle and Alan lives in a cave. That's the difference between you and me.
Who's doing better?
Yeah, obviously Grant's doing better. Grant's getting current checks. Alan's getting royalty checks.
Yep. Grant Morrison legitimately does live in a castle, everyone, in the moors of Scotland with his fetish model wife. We're not making that up.
Yeah. Weird.
These are real things that he does.
These are the things that our betters do. They when they need to write, they get into their castles.
I'm amazed of all the reality shows we've seen that no one has tried to pitch a show where they legitimately just follow Grant Morrison around and see what he does every day.
I don't think anyone cares.
I would watch. So I wake up every morning at the stroke of 4, and then I go and I make a cup of tea. But I don't drink it all, though.
But I gotta put some cocaine in it first.
And then I pray to the moon gods.
Yeah, he sure does. Now we're talking about Grant Morrison. All right, so
who we love. Like, I know with our
he's
constant making fun of him, it might seem like we don't love. No, we love him and we're fascinated by him.
Yeah.
And we pick up anything he reads because you know it's going to be great.
Yeah. Well,
even when it's not great, it's great.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. Even when it's not great for me, I'm like, I don't want to read this. Whereas when Frank Miller's terrible, it's like, oh, this is real bad.
Where you feel not only bad for yourself, you feel bad for the human race.
Yeah. Now that said, all right. So let's look at some of these titles that are coming out from DC Rebirth, and looking at them through the lens of
What
the
we know
reveal
now. Because obviously, I did a video on my own channel. In fact, it probably is the most successful Cape Joel video right now, where I run down all the individual titles. I got to do that because you guys were away. But you're right. Let's look at them now, knowing what we know.
Yeah. The Batman titles. I think Batman is going to play a huge role in figuring out what's happening. Obviously, he won't be it won't be Flash level important, but the letter is tying him directly into it.
We did catch a glimpse of two new heroes in this book coming to Gotham, claiming that they're going to save Gotham from Batman. Are these two heroes, knowing what we know now from the Watchmen universe?
Possibly. They could be like a fallout from the deeds of Adrian and Rorschach and
because their costumes are like weird Golden Age costumes.
They are. It's funny. Like when we first saw the costumes, we were like, "Oh, that's kind of like old school." Like I see what you're doing.
Superman, he doesn't. It looks like a little original Superman.
But now it could be like metatextual. Who knows? That's the Bat Suite. I don't think we're going to see anything related to it through the other characters like All-Star Batman, Nightwing, Batgirl.
Maybe some Jokers will show up there. That's my thought.
We'll see some Jokers. Definitely the Batgirl. We're going to see a Joker, and he'll be like, I never shot you, and the killing joke never happened, and I'm sorry that you don't like it, everybody.
Wouldn't that be hilarious? She runs into the harmless 1940s one who just wants to play pranks and throw playing cards.
And she beats him to death.
Yeah, she just gets like the most horrible PTSD and starts wailing. It's like, I just wanted to poison the water supply with laughing gas.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry.
It's like, you shot me. What? Whoa, what? Whoa, bring it down. What?
Yeah.
Come on now. Come on.
I gotta tell you, man, I'm really, I know we just talked about it, but like, it's weird that Grant Morrison could help himself. But like, be like, okay guys, I'm here. We didn't call you. I know.
I appeared. The Grant signal was in the sky.
Okay, Superman suites. I don't think Superman's really going to play a big role either. Like, I think he will have to play a big role, but I don't think he's going to be involved.
He's got his own stuff going on
exactly.
right now. With a new Doomsday, and that a new Superman is becoming the Superman of this universe.
And of course, Super Sons. You got his little boy being
Damian and
Jonathan being a Superboy and all that. That's gonna be really fun. I can't wait for Super Sons.
That's gonna be a fun book. I
really hope. Superwoman, Lois Lane being Superwoman. I don't know which Lois Lane it is yet. Do we know yet?
I don't think they. I assume that's got to be the other Lois Lane, the one who's with Clark White now. I assume gives her a costume not unlike the one she had from All-Star Superman.
Okay. Is this too many super people?
Well, we never had any new super people for years, and it's not even like they brought back the other Superboy. He gets to live out in the monastery.
Yeah. Okay. So then you got Aquaman. He's probably. I mean, Dan Abnett's writing it, so
and Dan Abnett was clearly in the inside of what's going on there. I'm guessing Jackson Hyde will get to go and hang out with him.
We did see a reveal in DC Rebirth about Aquaman. Aquaman is now engaged.
Which, that's surprising. Like, what, you mean you weren't always married? Is this like surface married? You were ocean married, but now you got to be surface
married. We were ocean married, which is, it's like dog years. Like, we were married for, well, anyway. Let's just make it official.
You got to get it on paper.
The Green Lanterns, it's Jeff Johns. It'll have, he's not writing it, but, Jeff Johns will not be able to avoid including the Lanterns. We saw a little hint of it in DC Rebirth where she's like, you mean I got to team up with the guy with the gun? Yeah,
that was funny.
Thought that was funny.
That was good.
Hal Jordan of the Green Lantern Corps. I don't know. Same
Sinestro.
Deal. Justice League. This is
written by Hitch, yeah.
Still Hitch. I really didn't like his Justice League, so I'm still not going to read it, but I also...
It was a fun Superman story.
Yeah.
But, the other characters struggled to find what to do.
It was a neat concept. It just, it should have been in a Superman book. More team books. Cyborg still is allowed to limp on.
Yeah. Good for him, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't really feel like there's gonna be...
Green Arrow and Black Canary get to come back together. They even make a point of that in DC Rebirth by making them the poster childs for lost love.
That's very nice. Now, it's funny, when we did our DC Rebirth title breakdown, we were like, Tiffany was really excited to see Dinah and Ollie get back together.
It's about time.
And, yeah, I think everyone is. I don't think anyone's like, no, tell me all more stories about a single Green Arrow.
Yeah,
like,
I don't want to read any more of this. I hope he can build his family back up, too. I hope Roy Harper can come back and hang out with him as well.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And then, of course, we got the Rebirth titles. I think those might be... At first, I thought they were just going to be, like, jumping on points. Like, here's some fresh start stuff. Maybe they will be more directly tied in with the fallout of this issue.
Possibly.
I mean, at first, I thought it was just like, well, no, we got to brand it. It's this the events... Like, the move we're doing as a publishing house is called Rebirth. These are the titles called Rebirth. It's just so we can get people back in. But...
Are these going to be New Origins? I assume maybe they'd be New Origins.
I assume so. I don't think so.
Yeah, now I don't.
Yeah, weird. I thought there was going to be more of a drastic change overall, and there just ain't.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if anything, it was almost an anti-change. It's like, yes, things changed, but only because they were always the same.
Right. And you know what? Maybe it's unhealthy to keep changing things.
It's true. The status quo always returns. And
it's funny. It's funny that they were like learned this lesson after they've already changed things to the point where people are like, no, but change them back.
Yep.
Like, no. Let's leave everything as it is now. With horrible Robin costumes and like confounding dynasties.
Yep, where you can have all the Robins in a 5-year thing, and you can have all the cosmic events in just 5 years.
Yeah,
which that's funny too, because they always said 5 years when New 52 started. And now they're like, no, it was a missing 10 years.
I like that.
A whole decade just.
That was cool. I kind of hope we'll see. I mean, like. I don't think we're going to see New Origins, but I bet we will see some kind of time reintegration at the culmination of the event.
Yeah.
Like, at the end, like, we'll see how it is right now. Everyone's still kind of, like, at the same place they were. We're going to all different Marvel it up, where there's no change whatsoever and all the continuity is exactly the same. But Wally West is here, and at the end of it, Dr. Manhattan's going to give everyone their time back.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
That's my guess. That's where I'm throwing it out there. Speculation, Joel. What do you think is going to happen, man? Overall,
I'm excited. I'm excited moving forward. This, I can certainly say I have no idea where any of this is going to go, good, bad, or in the middle. But I mean, there's a lot of books that I'm sure is going to be great. I'm excited to read Superman again, the entire Superman family line, where before I wasn't. I'm excited more than ever to read Green Arrow, and I always love Green Arrow. I'm glad that Wally West is back and going to be with the rest of his friends on the Titans. It's starting to remind me of the books I used to read.
It's true. I'm excited to read more DC titles now than ever before. Yeah. So, and actually it's funny, I was more excited before DC Rebirth, but now I'm like, but what if they change everything again at the end of this whole thing?
In like 5 or 6 years.
Because I think it is. I think that Rebirth is an event as well. I think that Dr. Manhattan is going to be... I think this whole Dr. Manhattan thing is an event. Like Darkseid War, where like at the end of it, something's going to change. We also established that like, there's a new Darkseid.
I didn't read Darkseid War 50.
No. In DC Rebirth, where Darkseid... is where Wonder Woman has a brother, and it's also and it's a Darkseid. Like,
that's right. They said this in this book, and I assume they only go into it more in Justice League.
Probably. I quit Darkseid War. When Darkseid War ended, or when Darkseid died, like two chapters into Darkseid War, and then it was like Darkseid War Part 12. I'm like, there's no war anymore. Yeah, he's dead.
Can't call it Darkseid Victory or Darkseid Lost.
And you also just killed him. Like a few years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's a thing that happened.
So, yeah. Anyway, I guess that's it. So,
Geez, I mean, we talked about 180-page book for about an hour. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I think that's pretty solid. I want to thank everyone for being in the chat and hanging out with us. I want to thank everyone for watching here on Comic Pop and commenting and letting us know what you thought of DC Rebirth in the comment section down below. If you're listening on iTunes and SoundCloud, thanks a lot for listening to the show. And we'll see you guys next time in another episode of the Elseworlds Exchange. I'm Sal.
I'm Joel.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.